Let's talk about getting started. You just need to begin at the beginning. How do writers decide what to write about? How do they know what they want to say? How do they choose what to keep and what to throw out? Writing is a complicated process which demands hours of debate, research, and trial and error. Very few people ever learn to write well simply because the process is very lengthy and frightening. None of what I just said is true. Writing is a manageable three-step process. Anyone can learn to write successfully. Each step has options which each writer adapts to fit his or her own style. Successful writing depends on learning the fundamentals and practicing them. So what are the three magical steps to completing the perfect writing assignment? They are pre-writing, writing, and rewriting. The most important step in pre-writing in the academic world is to read and understand the assignment. Many of my students receive lower grades on writing assignments because they did not follow the instructions. Often the instructor will dictate rhetorical mode, topic, research guidelines, page length, and many other requirements. Ignoring these guidelines guarantees a failing grade, so ask questions. Once you understand the assignment, you should begin at once. Do not wait until the night before an essay is due to start working. Just begin at the beginning, the topic. Usually an instructor will give you a hint about the subject of your essay. Here are some examples. Choose a current event and successfully argue one of the sides of the issue. Or, write about the Civil War. Or, discuss the George Zimmerman-Trayvon Martin case. Using the evidence, argue Zimmerman's guilt or innocence. You need to examine the assignment to find the topic. Let's look at the first one. Choose a current event and successfully argue one of the sides of the issue. This is a very broad assignment. There are hundreds of current event topics you could write about. What about this one? Write about the Civil War. Well, this is more specific, but it's still too broad. Will you write about the politics, the aftermath, the battles, the generals? The list goes on and on. What about the third choice? Discuss the George Zimmerman-Trayvon Martin case. Using the evidence, argue Zimmerman's guilt or innocence. Now this is a very specific subject. You will only need to decide which side of the argument you will take before beginning your research. Since the number one rule of writing is to BS, and that means be specific, you must narrow broad topics into defined topics for your essay. Without a specific topic, you cannot devise a thesis statement. And without a thesis statement, you have no essay. So, unless you are one of those gifted people who can just dream up a defined topic off the top of your head, you will need to do some pre-writing. There are 4 pre-writing techniques that I recommend to students to help define their topic. They are free writing, clusters, brainstorming, and research. Free writing is an easy method to use. It's actually my favorite. You will need paper and something to write with. If you have been given a broad topic, college, for example, write that at the top of the paper. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Begin writing. Write anything that comes to your mind about the word at the top of the paper. In fact, just write anything. Don't worry about spelling, grammar, or punctuation. Just let your mind empty onto the paper. Stop when the timer goes off. Read what you have written. Chances are that you have narrowed your ideas down at least a little. Remember, nobody's going to read this. Write whatever you want. If you do not have a defined topic after the first session of free writing, do it again. Select one of the ideas that came from your first session and free write on that idea. For example, if you worked on college in the first session, you may have written that college is too hard. In the second session, write about why college is too hard. As you practice this technique, your essay topic will gradually become more specific. The cluster technique works on key ideas and allows you to see main points quickly. You'll need a sheet of paper and a pen for this exercise. Put your topic in a circle in the middle of the paper. Now draw branches off of that circle that will become main points. Branches off of the main points will become subpoints. let's take a look at an example of a cluster. Okay, now notice that I have a huge set of bubbles on this board. Okay, well, I started with just one, and that was college. And so I began to think about things that I could write about or things that would interest me about college. And I came up with this. College is expensive. College is educational. College is important. College is hard. There are different types of colleges, and college can be fun. So those were the first things that I came up with. Well, then I took those ideas and I came up with other ideas. For example, let's take the idea that college is hard. Okay, what makes college hard? Well, your obligations, for one, make it hard. Your relationships can make college hard, and your classes can certainly make college hard. So as I'm thinking about those things, I came in with some more ideas. Well, why do your obligations make college hard? Well, what about your work obligations? Okay, if you have to work from 9 to 12 in the morning, that means all of your classes have to be scheduled after 12. That's a work obligation that makes college hard. What about family? Maybe you're a single parent, or maybe you are taking care of elderly parents, or maybe you have to babysit your cousin. All of these obligations can make college hard. Okay? What about relationships? Well, why do relationships make college hard? Well, here are some ideas. Your friends. When you leave high school, many of your friends will go to different colleges and you won't see them. That makes it hard because you miss people that you're used to associating with. Family relationships. Again, go back to the idea that family relationships can become difficult. For example, if you are supposed to be helping your family out, maybe in yard work or in housework, and you have to study and you can't do that, well, now that relationship is strained a little bit. Okay? And your spouse, certainly that relationship can make college hard because your spouse wants you to be home. Your spouse wants to go out, your spouse wants to do things with you, spouse or significant other. And if you have this problem where you have to study or prepare an assignment or go to class, then this relationship becomes strained as well. What about classes? Well, classes certainly make college hard. Okay? You're not going to come in and we're not going to, finger paint and play with Play-Doh, unfortunately. So there are studies. And you know that so many hours need to be spent to studies. If you were thinking about writing on this, you could certainly find statistics that would show you how many hours are spent by college students in studying material. Think about this. You are a full-time student, you take 4 classes maybe. How many hours a week do you think you're going to need to devote to that class outside of the classroom? Assignments, studying for tests, preparing homework, quite a bit. So certainly studies make classes hard. But what about the schedule? We can go back to then work obligations and family obligations and know that a college schedule sometimes is hard to come up with because you're trying to plan around family, you're trying to plan around work. There's so much that makes this scheduling classes hard in college. Okay, so can you kind of see how our bubbles work now, how our cluster works out? All right, let's go to another one. College is important. Well, why is college important? Well, the number one thing that comes to my mind is that college helps you get a job. Job, very important. Well, why are jobs important? Because they give you financial security. How many of us want to work 4 and 5 jobs a week? Not me. Okay. Also, college is important because it develops relationships. We've seen this before. College is hard. Relationships. College is important because of relationships. Because of friends. Oftentimes you meet new friends in college. Okay, so it becomes important to you. Also, you might meet people that can help you later. For example, say you meet someone who goes on to law school and becomes a business attorney. Well, then later, after you've completed your business degree, you come back and you meet this person, and this person becomes your attorney or your accountant or your business partner. You develop friendships and relationships that are important to you as you move through life. You also learn to develop a relationship with authority figures, such as instructors. College, unlike high school, I think, teaches you respect, more respect for your educator because you know that your grades live and die with that instructor. You have to do your part as a student, and then the instructor has to be there to communicate with you and to work with you, and you have to be there to communicate and work well with the instructor. So that authority figure, developing that relationship, is going to help you later, particularly when you begin to look for work, because you're going to respect that medical director who hires you as a nurse, or you're going to respect that HR manager who hires you for a position in the corporation. So developing a respect and definitely learning those skills will help you. And that is important to you as you continue on in life. What about life skills? Well, there are a couple of life skills that help you as you grow up and move on. And two of them come from college, which again makes college important. Time management. We've already talked about how it's hard because you have these obligations and you have the studies and schedule. Let's talk about time management. You can learn when you can squeeze in 15 minutes to study, or when you can squeeze in 30 minutes to study. When I was in college, I worked a full-time job, and I took my 15-minute breaks, and that is when I did studying. I either studied for a test, oftentimes I had note cards, and I would review my note cards during that 15 minutes. I would spend my lunch hours sometimes studying or going to the library. So I learned time management skills. I also had a really good husband that cooked a lot for me, so I didn't have to do that, so you know, that helps. What about being prepared? Now, I will tell you that you will have many assignments that you will have to be prepared for. And this skill is so important because as you move on into your degree, what if you, say for example, go to work for a major corporation and you have a presentation you need to give? College will teach you how to be prepared because your instructor is going to want that assignment done on time. They want your presentation done on time, and your boss will be the same way. So preparation, learning how to be prepared, is an important life skill that you will learn in college. Can you kind of see how the pre-writing's working? Is the essay starting to write itself for you possibly? Let's look at a couple of more. How about this one? Educational. Well, certainly college is educational. All right, why would you go to college unless you were just, going for the football team? Go Tigers. Okay, so educational. Number one thing we see from the fact that college is educational is that this is where you get your degree. You get your degree here. What do you get from your degree? Your job. And then we go back to all of these reasons why college is important. Okay, what about the social aspect of college, the educational social aspect? Again, you learn to blend in with groups of people that you're not used to. College is very diverse. We have people of all ethnicities here. Certainly people who are handicapped are in college, and this teaches you to blend in the social world that we have created. All right, so this is an educational aspect of college as well. Again, life skills. Time management comes up. All right, college educates you on how to manage your time, because guess what happens if you don't manage your time well and you have a 5-page research paper due and you don't turn it in? You failed. You failed, and that triggers the dominoes into just a disaster. You don't want to do that, so you want to learn good time management skills, okay? So you can see college is educational. Now here's one. How about the fact that college is expensive? It is expensive. No one denies that it's expensive. Certainly not those of us who have been and completed 4- and 6-year degrees. How about this? What are some of the expenses that college has? How about living expenses? Supplies, certainly, those of you who've been to the bookstore, and tuition. These are all expenses that you encounter when you are trying to attend college. But let's go a little further. How about this? Living expenses. Well, you know you have to eat. Okay, maybe you don't have to eat, but I have to eat. So food is important. Rent, you have to live somewhere. Now you hear stories every now and then about somebody attended Harvard for 4 years and they lived in their car. That doesn't happen very often, and I really would hope that you're not living in your car. So there's food, there's rent, there's all that basic stuff. Then you also have to have a vehicle, usually to get to college. So there's gas and insurance and maintenance and upkeep, okay? And if you have a nice car, there's wax. So living expenses, very important. So we know that college is expensive because of those. Now we get to the supplies. Well, of course, we have to have books. I think the most I ever spent on books at one semester was $515, and I was in 5 classes. And 3 of those were used. So yeah, books are expensive. I never sold any of my books back either. I kept them all. I'm weird about that. I can't help it. All right, I love books. So books were an expense for me. Necessary supply though. What about paper, pens, markers, highlighters, all of that kind of stuff? You need that. And in other courses, you have to have specific supplies, maybe lab supplies or art supplies if you're in an art course. What about a computer? You can't go to college unless you have a computer. You don't have to have a personal computer because many colleges will have computer labs and the library will have computers that you can use. But this is a supply that is an important supply. Whether you use the university or the college's computers or you have one of your own, they're important. Laptops are great. They're great note takers. They're fun to have to class. They're really good things to have. So all of those are good supplies. Some of them are mandatory, like the books, and they're expensive. I had a student one time, a freshman student, did not buy his books, and about 2 weeks in, I asked the student, when are you going to get your books? And he said, I don't think I need them. Well, guess what grade he got? So, you have to have books. They're important. And then, let's take a look at this. We talked about types of college. That was one of the things that I put out here. Well, there are 2-year colleges, 4-year colleges, private colleges, military colleges. This might be an interesting topic for a paper. What is the differences? What are the similarities and differences? If you're asking to compare and contrast types of colleges, well, this is certainly going to be an important piece of the cluster for you. All right, and I saved the best for last. College can be fun. There are relationships, again with that word relationships, clubs and sports, okay? And sports, of course, give you that sense of belonging. You know, if you go to a major 4-year university, such as, let's just take LSU in Baton Rouge, you may be on campus with 25,000 students. It's a small city, okay? It's a small city. It's a great population, but it gives you a sense of belonging to be an LSU Tiger. And you would be an LSU Tiger forever, okay? Just like if you're going to Texas A&M, you'd be an A&M Aggie forever once you graduate from that school. And they're fun. They're a lot of fun. Sports are a lot of fun. Keep in mind when you're doing these kinds of fun things that you have time management issues. Pay attention to that. What about this? Clubs. Now, we have some interesting clubs. Clubs that you can join that may not have anything to do with your major. And that's wonderful because now you're exploring new interests. Let's say, for example, you're a nursing major and you decide, well, you love to read and you like literature, so you're just going to join the English club for fun. Well, this gives you some exposure to something different. And again, it might help you build an interesting relationship to someone later. It also might help you make a decision to become an English major because we are awesome people. We don't sell back our books. We're great. All right, what about friends? You meet new friends, again with clubs, develop new relationships. And then we come to the fun part of the relationships in college, not just new friends, but what about the romance? Of course there are romantic relationships that begin in college. Many people say that they married their college sweetheart. So you can see that college is a very broad topic that covers so many things. And take a look at this cluster one more time and you can see how huge it is. Now I did mine in different colors, but you don't have to do that. But you can see that once you have done this, you have some very solid ideas to write about and things to talk about. We've talked about relationships several times. We've talked about time management several times. We've talked about financial security and jobs multiple times. These are things that you might help to develop that very important thesis. Okay, so let's go back to take a look at the next form of pre-writing. Okay, so let's talk about brainstorming. Brainstorming can be done alone, with a partner, or even with a group of people. And again, you need paper and something to write with. Here is my reason why I keep telling you need paper and pen, or something to write with. I don't think that pre-writing should be done on a computer. Because when you're on a computer, you tend to be more particular about the way you put things in. Don't do that to yourself, because you lose focus on what you're really trying to do, which is come up with some great ideas of things to write about. So do them on paper and pen. You'll be a little more relaxed as you do your pre-writing. So while you're brainstorming, make a list of things as you think of them. Write everything down, no matter how silly it may seem, or how stupid, or how worthless, whatever. Write it down. If you're doing it by yourself, you're just writing a list. If you're doing it with a friend, write down everything they say and write down everything you say, and then the two of you can compare your notes and see if you missed anything. So once you have the list, highlight or number the items that seem to go together. This is the beginning of your thesis statement. Research is an unusual method of choosing a topic. It's very helpful in the case of a specific topic, such as the Zimmerman trial, to help you forge an opinion. You can also use research to get the ball rolling when you do not have a specific topic to discuss. Let's take a look at the Civil War. Remember that assignment that we talked about? Type Civil War in your search engine. Take a look at the top links, but also look at the bottom for suggested searches. Those are topics as well. Now I'm going to take us out of the PowerPoint for a second just to play with Google just for a second. Okay? Here we go. So let's look at Google. And let's type in Civil War. Okay? Just hit enter. Now, you don't want these because these are going to be commercial. So let's take a look. All right, something very important. We see this American Civil War, Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia. Okay, let me give you my Wikipedia warning now. Most instructors do not accept Wikipedia as a good source. Okay, certainly a lot of the information may be very relevant, but because anyone can put out a wiki and can change the information on Wikipedia, it's not considered safe. And I'll give you a great story. One of my instructors at the school I went to told me that she had decided to do a lesson on Sir Francis Bacon. And so she went to Google, of course, and typed in Sir Francis Bacon, and of course he comes up in Wikipedia, and she clicked on the link. When she clicked on the link, she found the following sentence with the rest of the information. Sir Francis Bacon killed his mother and sliced her into strips, and that is how he came up with the name Bacon. So, needless to say, she was shocked, and she got off of the site. She wanted to show someone, and when she tried to show it to him, it was gone. It had been fixed. Wikipedia is pretty good about fixing these mistakes, but if it's something you really don't know about, do you really want to trust it? I would stay away from Wikipedia. All right, let's go to the first one. You can see the first few things that are listed, www.civilwar.com. That might be interesting. Let's take a look at that. Again, we want to look at the first few things that are listed because those are the ones that are getting the most Google hits, which may mean that they're good sources. What a great site this is. Let's take a look. There are current events that have to do with the Civil War. There's information, late information. There are features. There's an interactive battle map. If you're writing about battles, that would certainly be an important source. Things about weapon, President Lincoln, Gettysburg. There's quite a bit of information here. So this might be a very good source for you, depending on if your instructor is allowing online sources. It might also be the way that you can come up with an idea to write about. The Civil War, there are current events revolving around the Civil War. How can that be possible? This might be something interesting to write about in your essay. Okay, so let's go back. And I wanted to show you something else that Google has. As soon as my computer wants to play nice with me. Okay. Now, here's the first link. And you can take a look at the first few links, of course, as many as you'd like. But take a look down here. Searches related to Civil War. Civil War facts, Civil War battles, Civil War causes, Civil War timeline. There are several topics right here, basic topics that you may wish to explore in a free writing method. Okay, so research your topic if you're not sure what to write about, and you might get some assistance. Okay, so let's go back then and take a look at our final slide and discuss one more time how to begin at the beginning. Once you've done enough pre-writing to hone that topic into a specific idea for an essay, practice writing thesis statements. Write a few that are simple thesis statements and write a few 3-point thesis statements. And for assistance on this, review the thesis statement PowerPoint. Choose the thesis state that interests you the most or seems the closest to the assignment. Before you are ready to write, there is one more decision to make. How will you organize your information? Okay, well, review the Organizational Strategies PowerPoint for details.